Good. So good morning and a very warm welcome to this webinar. We appreciate that you are taking the time to join us in the middle of the morning, even though it's a rainy morning, so it's better to go in a webinar. And we are also delighted to see so many of you here today. So I'm very happy to host this webinar today together with Cyberlink. And the topic is reducing internet exposure in financial networks. Let's start with a short introduction. So I will briefly introduce myself. So my name is Dario Colachico. At Anapaya, I am responsible for the business development, for the partner landscape, and also our expansion. Before I joined Anapaya, I worked for a large telecom company here in Switzerland. And in total, I have now spent more than 30 years in the IT and telecommunication business. But that's enough about me. Now I'm very happy to hand over to my colleague, Stefan.
Yes, thanks, Dario. Hi, everyone. Great to be here. My name is Stefan Ulrich. I'm the CSO at Cyberlink, so I'm responsible for everything related to sales. I've been with Cyberlink over 13 years now. And since 2023, my team and I have been working quite intensively on SCION. Let's say back to the studio.
Thank you so much, Stefan. So then short about Anapaya. Anapaya is a spin-off from ETH, and it was founded now 9 years ago. Today, we are around about 40 employees from all over the world. We are a software company building solutions based on the SCION protocol. This is a new internet architecture designed for security, resilience, and control network. Yes, that's it. We are based in Zurich, same as Cyberlink is. And Stefan, please explain what Cyberlink is doing.
So Cyberlink has been around for more than 30 years now. We are a team of 44, I guess, since 1st May, 45 people. And we have also 4 apprentices. And we focus on building customized connectivity and cloud service for our customer. So let's go one step deeper into what that actually means. We are an infrastructure provider, but without owning our own physical infrastructure. So what does that mean in practice? We source connectivity from network providers like Swisscom, Gazecom, Init7, and then build our own service on top of that. As you can see here, the yellow technologies. Things like internet access, SD-WAN, MPLS, and here newly since 2023, SCION-based connectivity services. We also have, in collaboration with CloudScale, the first SCION cloud enabled. And our infrastructure runs in the data center, as you can see in the middle, Digital Realty and Equinix, where we also offer co-location and cloud services. So the CloudScale cloud is not in those data centers. There's some others, but we are really, really good connected together. A big topic for us is security and compliance. We operate our own DDoS service, what you can see here. So all the traffic comes from the internet to our customers. End of the day is DDoS protected. And we also are ISAE 3402 audited. I suppose you know what Cyberlink is doing now. So Dario, maybe you can take it from here.
Now, many people of you maybe already know SCION, but maybe not all. And this is why we start also with a short introduction what SCION is. Let me explain what SCION is and how it works. So today's internet is based on a protocol called BGP, which is now more than 40 years old. So this BGP protocol is in a way the glue. You have to imagine it's the glue that connects the network. So in other words, the internet. So across many different connections and providers. So the providers, they have connections, and then they have this BGP protocol, and the data is traveling through the internet. And this protocol is super cool because it's very flexible. Everyone can connect his AS with everyone. I mean, this is perfect, but I mean, it's pretty old and it has also some weak points. Now, let's imagine an internet where you can decide with whom you communicate and with what you communicate. An internet that is secured by design, an internet where endpoints are not even visible or reachable in the network, an internet where you can control the data flows and how the data flows behind the service provider, an internet that is always available because it can use multiple passes and multiple routes, and that you can also see, that you can see what is happening in this network. So in short, or in a nutshell, a secure, resilient, and controllable network. And this is exactly what SCION can do and what SCION offer. It was built to make these new possibilities real. Now, let's go a little bit more deeper into the technology. So SCION creates a safer open network based on three main elements. So we have cores with the C here in the middle, we have gates, and we have edges. So the cores are a central routing point offered by different network providers. So this is nothing for end customers. They form, let's call it the backbone of the SCION network. Then we have the entry points. We have edge, we have gate, and with this, we offer two ways to connect to this secure network. This means a company can connect itself with partners, with customers, of course, also with other locations, with the cloud, IoT devices, and also OT solutions. Everything can connect to this network. The edge is like, you have to imagine, it's like a CPE. In other words, it's a box that you get also when you buy an internet connection. Sometimes it runs also on the same CPE. And gate is a so-called on-net connection that then you can connect to this new SCION network. So it connects mobile devices, for an example. So if I have a mobile device and the mobile device is connected on-net with my mobile service provider, then it will go to the gate and routed into this SCION network. So for customers, this is actually very simple. So user gets a secure access without dealing a complex setup or a difficult installation. It's for the end customer, it's like a small upgrade, and then you can already benefit from SCION. Now, we have now spoken a lot about what SCION can offer, but SCION also protects against real concrete problems. And in the first question, we had the answer that DDoS is important and also zero-day, and these are exactly 2 points that SCION can help. Now, what are the challenges of the internet of today? So, I mean, everybody of us, also we today in this webinar, we are using the internet. And even if customers are saying, yeah, but you know, Dario, we have closed systems, there are simply services that cannot work without the internet. At the same time, we have security, availability, and control that we need to use. And this is no longer just nice to have. This is essential for us. So at the same time, this is what we see. Attacks are becoming stronger, more frequent, cheaper for attackers. And with that, I mean, today you can buy a DDoS attack for $200 and then more expensive for end customers, because then end customers and we need to protect ourselves from DDoS and from other attacks. But it's not only a security problem. I mean, you know, organizations also struggle with data sovereignty, with rules, regulations. I mean, NIS2 came to my mind, DORA, IKT standard, and many other requirements. So you can see this is about many different issues that we face today with the internet. So the real challenge is that today's internet was never built for the level of trust, control, and resilience that critical sectors now need. So, and this is exactly a new approach with, for an example, this SCION network is needed. Now, everyone I know is talking about AI and also AI-driven attacks. I mean, this is not longer only manual. These attacks, more and more often they are supported by AI, and I mean this is clear. And I don't want to go into the deep of each vertical here, but for an example, AI can analyze public information and create highly personal phishing messages. Or for an example, it can scan networks in a smarter way. It can behave more like a real administrator behind. Or we had a short discussion about 0 days. I mean, a 0 day can find out very fast if AI is behind. And if once attackers find data, they can move it out through services that might look normal at first sight. And this is a really danger that we see. And what we are doing is still we are using firewalls, we are using DDoS protection, we are using SASE, zero trust, and much more. And this all makes sense. But now here is the next problem. I mean, we have a lot of 0 day weaknesses. These are among the most dangerous attacks because they use weaknesses for which no fixes exist yet. So no patch is ready, no hotfix is ready. And this is what we see every day, that these attacks can scale very, very quickly, also with the AI. So recent here, you can see public examples from well-known platforms such as Citrix, Palo Alto, Ivanti, and we have also some others. And at that point here, it's not to say that we should stop using such solutions. We need such solutions. But if a service is exposed to the public internet, it can become a target. And this is why exactly we need to reduce the attack surface from the internet. And this is why this is so important. So we need to make critical services much less visible and much less reachable right from the start. And this is exactly the approach that SCION enables. Let's go a little bit deeper into Anapaya Gate. Now we have seen the solution as a whole, and you have learned now how SCION works, what the benefit is, and which problem it solves. But now we saw also that we have two kind of entry doors into the SCION network. So one is the gate and one is the edge. So let's go a little bit deeper into the gate topic. So what you see here is a simulation of a remote connection into a mid-sized company. For this, together with our partner InfoGuard, we have installed 2 honeypots. One honeypot is here in green, and below you see another honeypot. And with these, we simulate 2 companies. One in the public internet, so here the amber or red one, and one in the SCION network. And I have to be honest here, none of the services were ever patched. So it's like a piranha tank. And what we did is, I make an example, this small company, we have installed an Exchange server, a SharePoint server, still with some Windows XP clients. You can imagine, we try to simulate a small company. And then we run these 2 honeypots for, I think, 4 months. Yes, exactly. October last year to January of this year. And here you can see the results. So in the SCION network, we saw around about 170 access attempts. These were also internal attempts from InfoGuard and also monitoring attempts from Anapaya. But you can see that over the public internet, we saw more than 15 million access attempts. These are not always malicious attacks. We saw also malicious attacks a lot, but these 15 millions are access attempts. And this is very impressive and shows how simple it can be to control the exposure, because with these small upgrades, you can expose your services not anymore from these 15 million accesses. And to achieve this, it doesn't take so much. Here you see a use case. Here in the middle, for an example, you see a VPN service running on premise. This is maybe in your headquarter, but it can also be in the cloud, in a private cloud hosted by a partner. And it's not only VPN. You can put every service behind SCION, but here this use case is with VPN. And now all employees that are here on the right, that are coming over, for an example, mobile service provider like Swisscom, they can access the VPN service without any installation or configuration. But from other ISPs that you can see here below, connections are not possible anymore. And the VPN itself is no longer visible from the public internet. And this is the beauty of SCION, because it's super important that the user experience is also great. And if an installation is not needed on the mobile phone or on the device at home, in the home office, this is super beneficial. And this sounds super good in theory, but how this is working in practice. So here on the right side, you see the large hexagon, and you see also the backbone of the SCION network. So you see here a remote worker, the gate, a core with ISP number 1, the SCION network, and also another ISP. Now the user connects over the internal network to the ISP. So this is on net because my mobile phone is still in the network of my mobile service provider, for an example, Swisscom. Then the gate is collecting the traffic. So my mobile phone goes to Swisscom, then to the gate, and then the gate is collecting this traffic, and then the core system of Swisscom is seeing, aha, the destination is not with me, it's with Cyberlink. And then the traffic is routed to ISP number 2 to Cyberlink, for an example. And Cyberlink then has connected the VPN service from the end customer over an edge with the headquarter, and then the traffic is routed to the headquarter. So with that, you see it's super simple how this network is managed, and also how the network data is traveling through this gate and the SCION internet. Good. With that, I hand over to you, Stefan. Let's talk now about the real use case.
Thanks a lot, Dario. So yeah, use case, Anapaya gate use case I brought you, what we have made in Glarner Kantonalbank. So at the beginning, we were discussing how better protect the VPN gateway for remote users, as Dario has already explained. And during the conversation with the customer, it came up that the Glarner Kantonalbank, it's also exposing an API gateway to the customer and partners. And that is directly accessible from the internet. Of course, there are security measures in place, like firewall, web application firewall, and access can be restricted. But if someone were compromised the system, it could be potentially allow deep access into the backend of their financial system, which obviously is very sensitive. In theory, using dedicated lease lines for each customer or partner would solve this, but in practice, the approach is far too expensive and not scalable. That was the perfect moment to link this challenge to the Anapaya Gate solution. So what did we? First, we placed the API gateway behind SCION. So as you can see here, this is the SCION network in Switzerland with a couple of ISPs. I guess there are a lot of more, but just on the drawing, see some of them. And if we put this API gateway behind SCION, that means that the API is no longer reachable via the public internet. So there were no access from German Telecom or Lumen or what else, from China and so on. So no access. To enable access, we used Anapaya gate service. I guess you're already experts here because you saw it in the presentation of Dario. So we have a gate in Swisscom on Sunrise, and one is in SwissX, which is Cyberlink and a lot of other Swiss ISPs behind. And through this gate, or if a user tried to connect the API gateway in Switzerland, through this gate, he's accessible through SCION. So again, yeah, if a user is in Switzerland, access the API, the traffic is redirected via the gate directly to Glarner Kantonalbank, not over the internet. So this user didn't know that, but it's just handed over here in the backbone of those ISPs. That means no access from outside Switzerland, significantly reducing the attack surface. At the same time, Swiss customers can still use the API as usual. So they didn't know it, but it's quite secure then. After deploying the API on the SCION network and successfully completing the additional tests, with Glarner Kantonalbank started onboarding the clients. However, we quickly ran into an issue. One of the client platforms was hosted in a hyperscale environment in Switzerland, but the IP address were registered in the US. Oh my God, US IP addresses. As a result, the access was blocked, so gate was function. I didn't even know that this was possible, but the cloud always finds new ways to surprise us, right? So I had to get in touch with Anapaya to discuss this topic. We realized we need a fairly new feature, and the new gate feature is Global Connect. So with Global Connect, you can selectively enable specific regions or even dedicated IP addresses, and also control bandwidth. That's really important. So you stay fully in control, you decide who can access from where, and you can block regions instantly if needed. This allowed Glarner Kantonalbank to selectively enable access from, example, US-based IPs without access to the entire world. So in the end, it's all about maximizing security, maintaining control, and keeping costs reasonable. So that's the time you can do a print screen. So let's talk about the benefit with Anapaya Gate, and especially the Global Connect feature. We're significantly reducing the attack surface and increasing the overall security of the API. Malicious traffic is stopped before it even reaches Glarner Kantonalbank. The actual Glarner Kantonalbank infrastructure is no longer visible, for example, in public source, like RIPE, because of provider IP addresses within SCION. So the IP addresses we're using, they're not shown as a Glarner Kantonalbank IP address. The customer told me that the solution runs very stable in production, so they were quite happy with it. And overall security is improved while operational costs are reduced. So, that's a game changer. I brought you a second or another use case with me, which is already being used by the several financial institutions within the SCION ecosystems in Secure Swiss Finance Network. And in Q2 2025, Anapaya introduced edge-to-edge encryption. I guess there is also a dedicated webinar. And honestly, for me, it was really a game changer. Think about the typical scenario. In financial institution or an asset management company needs to securely exchange data with a new partner. Traditionally, you need to set up a side-to-side VPN, which can take days or even weeks, especially if multiple vendors are involved. I've personally spent a lot of time dealing with that. It was in the past, couple of years ago, as an engineer, with Checkpoint, Cisco, Juniper, and it only gets more complex. With SCION, if both sides are connected via edge, you can establish a secure connection within minutes. That's really nice. I really love it. So what is needed to do that? Firstly, you need to have the right software version on the edge. Mostly the managed service provider is taking care about that. It's also, we are on Cyberlink, we do updates of the software in some normally are things like if it's new features or is there some new stuffs like the Anapaya Pro license is needed. And just a few clicks in the console or some config lines. My engineers also told me that you don't need the console. Sometime, I guess the console is also not available in the SSFN. So that's just a few clicks or a few written lines on the edge itself. And all these will be done by our managed service provider like Cyberlink, so we can do that, or the other edge provider. Of course, this needs to be configured on both sides, so you have always two sides. Huh? And the guys out there, they know me. They know that I'm really liking drawings. So I brought you for sure a drawing. Here's a simple example. You have multiple financial institutions, like one is in Azure or AWS. Some other one is in a headquarter or in data centers somewhere. I mean, I took Zurich, but it could also be Geneva. And all of them run the edge, as you can see here. For sure, it could be, or mostly it's redundant, but you have an edge managed by ISPs like Swisscom, Cyberlink, what else? And what I said, you have the right version, you have the right license, your partner do the few clicks, the vPL tunnel is built really easily, really fast. That's it. And if you need to have a second connection, which you would like to do an encrypted one, you just do the same again. And quite easy. What I said, for me, it's really a game changer. Don't need to deal with couple of firewall or IPsec vendors. They just have it on the routing protocol. That's just what are you waiting for, I would say. So Dario, I guess I can give you the word back in the studio, right?
Sure. Hey, thanks so much, Stefan. I mean, it's really impressive to see how simple a small internet upgrade can make such a big difference, and give the customer again the control back over the open connections. And what is also very impressive, as we have seen in the poll, I mean, DDoS attacks and also zero-day exploits are the most significant cyber threats. And with this easy-to-do implementation, many of these issues can be resolved. And for me, this is super impressive. Good. Thanks again, Stefan. So before we close, I would like to leave you with a few key takeaways. So these are the most important to me, but I think it's for all are these super important topics. So reducing the exposure to the internet is super important because you can solve many problems like DDoS, zero-day exposure, and so on. And I mean, it's here. If you're able to reduce the exposure and to reduce the attack surface, let's do it. So then more control creates also more resilience, because if you can see what is happening, then you can steer also better the traffic. So your traffic is more resilient because you can then also do some configuration on the path engineering. Then maximum security at reasonable costs. What we see in the market is we see that the cyber attacks are growing year over year. So what we are seeing is 25% over each year. And this is also an implication of the spendings in cybersecurity, because if the attacks are more, you need a better protection. So what we are seeing there is between 15 and 20% more costs in cybersecurity costs. And when you can bring down the attack surface, you need less support on layer 7. That means with software-based security solutions, and with this small amount of costs, you can also save money with other applications. I mean, it's totally easy to install. It's totally easy to do a rollout for this better security. And super important, what we are showing here is not only theory, it works. We have a lot of customers using this already, and you can use it too with a simple upgrade with your ISP. Thank you very much for your time. We would be very happy to connect with you on LinkedIn and also through the QR code that you can see here if you would like to learn more about SCION. Yes, thank you so much, Stefan.
Yeah, thanks a lot. What a good time with you, Dario, here. I guess we meet us again this afternoon.
Exactly.
And I hope it was good out there and you enjoyed it, our webinar. That's it. Thanks a lot.
Super. Ciao a tutti.